is no fear of the budget. The budget is filled with great expectations. This is a profound change. Workers, families, small businesses, investors can plan their affairs and think long term without worrying that the government will impose some random tax to mash up their plans. Government is no longer a burden on the people of Jamaica. It puzzles. It is a puzzle to the opposition how a government can eliminate some taxes completely, relieve a significant number of persons from paying taxes, reduce the tax rate itself, and still have more tax revenue collected. It's a mystery to them, Madam Speaker. A mystery. They don't understand it.
They don't understand it.
So I understand when they come and say,
they've never done it.
They have now resorted to spreading an outright lie. That the government has increased taxes in order to explain what they don't understand, or are too ashamed to admit that their government has never been able to.
Yeah, greetings, everybody. Welcome. We are live in living colors. Admission. Share the live as you walk in, folks. Share the live. We are live. We're going to be joined by a few. We're going to be joined by Dr. Clovis Nelson and Dr. Saphire Longmore for a few minutes. She's going to pop in with us for a few minutes. She's going to pop in with us for a few minutes. Live on our YouTube channel, exclusive. So, as you walk in, folks, I beg of you, share the program. Tell a friend that we are on. We're live. And we're talking post-budget. What a budget it has been by one of Jamaica's greatest prime minister, the most honorable Andrew Michael Holness. Good night, Anita. If you talk about a budget that is loaded with goodies, well, this would be one of them. A budget loaded with goodies. I don't know if I could say it any better. I don't know if it could be any better. It's a budget loaded with goodies. And I am happy that I was able to sit and to listen to just about every single word that came out the Prime Minister's mouth. And for those of you who are wondering, the election has come and gone. And there's a lot for us to discuss and talk about. But I'll tell you that this budget presentation tells you that the government, the Prime Minister and his cabinet, has their ears and eyes and fingers on the pulse of the Jamaican people, because I've never seen another budget that carry the level of, for lack of a better word, goodies as this one. Loaded with excellent initiatives to benefit just about every aspect of society. Every aspect of society. And we should feel very proud. We should feel very proud that we are indeed a part of such an organization that, really pay attention to what the people are saying. We just gone through a local government election, and like I said to you before, a lot has been said in that election. A lot has been presented in that election. For any government, be it JLP or PNP, any government that would have occupied the office now and would have gone through this election cycle will agree that this election showed us exactly what is it that is needed to be done. What is it that we need to do? There's no if, ands, or but about it. And I think the government heard, the government listened, and they acted accordingly. Now, there's something that was very profound that the Prime Minister said when he spoke about the two ideology from Edward Seaga and one from Percival James Pattison that says we put people first, coming from the PNP at the time, and coming from the Jamaica Labour Party, it takes cash to care. And it seemed like Andrew, like a stroke of a genius, would have found a very perfect synergy to bring both ideology together. He said you have to generate the cash. You have to generate the cash in order to put people first. And I don't think you need more than that. You have to generate the cash in order to put people first. And that's an excellent way to put it. I don't think we can put it any better than that. It takes cash to care, coming from the JLP, and we put people first, coming from the PNP. This Andrew Holness managed to merge the two and result in what we have just seen. Moving minimum wage from $13,000 per week to $15,000. Genius. Yes. $60,000 for every entry student going into university, plus removing the guarantor. That opens up tertiary education to persons who really and truly was discouraged prior. Right? They are now open to going into university. So these are some significant initiatives put forward by the Prime Minister in his presentation earlier. And I think it is something for us to really and truly, highlight and examine deep. Because it's very unusual. We're going through a very unusual period. A period that, you could wonder if we are living in real time. Because you would have heard the cry and you would have heard the argument coming from some of the persons who participated in the electoral process just recently. And I really want to delve into that aspect of it. But before we go there, I want us to look at the budget presentation. We have Dr. Clovis Nelson. He is on. We're going to bring him forward in just a minute. And we are hoping to be joined, if possible, by Dr. Saphire Longmore in just a few as well. Just to get their perspective on the presentation by the Prime Minister earlier. This is not just any old budget. It's a budget that, when implemented, the initiatives that is, it is going to be a game changer, not just for the political party, but it is going to be a game changer for Jamaica. There's not a single demographic in Jamaica that has not been positively impacted by this budget presentation. Not one. Every single aspect of Jamaica's society has been positively impacted by this budget presentation. Yes. Dr. Longmore is here as well. We're going to bring her in just a few. Want to gauge her her views on what she's heard so far. This to me is perhaps one of the best budget presentations I've heard in a very long time. Dr. Nelson is here as well. I'm going to get his reaction as well. But folks, there's been jittery all over social media for the last few days because, let me tell you, Jamaicans don't go well with defeat at any level. Doesn't matter. When you play dominoes in Jamaica, even when you win, sometimes it appears like you have lost based on how people discuss it. So yeah, but the initiative that came across, man, is groundbreaking. One of the big ones for me is definitely the increase in minimum wages is pretty good. That has a very broad reach. It's gonna impact a lot of people. And that's it. That's the whole idea. A lot of persons you talk to in recent weeks would give you ideas and would say, look, the government has to do something that will impact a broad sector of the society. And I agree. It has to have a broad impact. Now, the question you would ask is, how do you create initiatives now that will have that impact without breaking the bank, so to speak, without busting the budget, without creating an environment similar to what the PNP had back in the days when the former Minister of Finance did what we call the Run With It program. And I admire what Prime Minister Holness did when he said, look, those two ideology. Good night, Pamela. How you doing? Those two ideology. And Dr. Longmore, whenever you're ready, you can just hit that link and you'll be right in. You'll be right in studio with us. But those two ideology, which is just a second there, guys. Yeah, those two ideology have yeah, those two ideology where Eddie Siaga would have said it takes cash to care, and then you would have PJ Patterson saying we put people first, and like a real genius, Andrew Holness has been able to merge the two ideology and present it in a way that you just can't help but accepting that both have a place in Jamaica's politics and both ideology has a place in this budget. What is profound for me is that this government has been able to generate the cash and is now presenting the budget that cares. And when you have the cash to care, then you can put people first. So that to me is very, 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 very important. Lenny, greetings to you. Jadi, Gary, what's going on? Arthur, big up yourself. Joan, Huntley, big up yourself. Big up yourself, everybody. We're waiting for Dr. Nelson and we're waiting for Dr. Saphire Longmore to join us as well. Huntley Davis, good to see you as well. Welcome. Top of the night to you. Jadi, big up yourself. The Heart Initiative, where Heart is now partnering with the Project Star program. And that to me is going to be another game changer. Another game changer. Can you imagine? You're not going to Heart. The government is saying, look, they are broadening the initiative now. You get $15,000 for transportation. And you're getting another $13,000 as a stipend. Now, what other initiative do we need? Tell me. Why would we still have guys sitting on the street? And why do we have people telling us that the macro economy is not meeting the micro? If this is not the clearest indication of the greatest connection between the macro economy and the micro economy, then I don't know what is. If what was presented tonight did not connect the macro to the micro, I don't know what. I don't know what else could. Because to be brutally honest with you, none of these initiatives was really geared towards putting money into the upper class of society. I would really classify this as the greatest transfer of economic prosperity from the rich to the poor. That is how I would really classify this presentation, as one of the greatest transfer of prosperity from the rich to the poor. And it might not come across as being the most sexiest statement to make, but it is a fact. It is a fact. Welcome, everybody. Pamela, how you do? Are you walking, guys? Just go ahead and share. Share, tell a friend and tweet a friend. Tell a friend we're on. Share this live so we can get the numbers up to where we need it to be. Dr. Nelson is still holding to bring you on. He's here. And we are waiting on Dr. Longmore, who was here earlier. I think she has another engagement, so we have to grab her quickly. Yes. But that's the important part of this, folks, is that when the governments speak earlier about presenting or preparing themselves for a caring budget, I think this was a great example of what a caring budget looks like. Is when you present something that actually deal with what matters most. Let me see if I can Steve Nugent, greetings to you. Gladstone, greetings to you, my friend. The young man said in the police meeting that he hate the counselor. And when he was asked why by the counselor, he replied, "Miss, you are cuss we to come off of the road and go hard school. And I know all the way like school." And what do you do? If a person don't like school, what do you do? Should the government create an initiative to facilitate those who don't want to be educated, those who don't want to get training, those who don't want a skill, those who don't want to work? And that's a question I'd ask. Government cannot create a program to facilitate lazy people and people who are hell-bent on earning a living from other means other than legitimate means. I think that was a very significant part of the last election campaign by another side who went into that campaign telling folks, because we heard it from one of the members of the opposition, that persons prefer not to work than to work for $13,000. Yeah, they campaign on that, saying it is better. People in their constituency say, look, man, it's better we don't work than work for $15,000. And I'd love for somebody to explain to me how that works. You're not getting any income at all, and you prefer to stay home and don't work, but earn $0 and going to work and earning $13,000. Well, the government has upped that. Numbers are up now to 15,000. I think that's a $60,000 a month for minimum wage. Remember, folks, this is minimum wage, and this is merely a guideline. This is not even a salary that one needs to strive for. A minimum wage salary is one in which that you go to whatever job it is and you earn that salary and you find creative ways to moving yourself up the ladder. Minimum wage is not a lifetime job. I don't think anybody should gear themselves towards working minimum wage for a lifetime. And minimum wage, by the way, is not that this is what the government is saying you must be getting. A lot of persons pay above minimum wage. Minimum wage is a guideline. It's the lowest that you can get. It doesn't get any lower than that. Anybody who wishes to pay you lower than minimum wage could get themselves in serious trouble. Right? You could get yourself in serious trouble if you pay less than minimum wage. So minimum wage is just a guideline. Dr. Nelson, we're still holding to get you on and to get your reaction. I think Dr. Longmore might be heading out. She had another engagement, so I'm assuming that she might be out of town. But you know, minimum wage is not a lifetime salary, man. Kenroy Wilson, how you doing? Hey, Dr. Saf, how you doing? Good. You can click that link whenever you're ready, Doc, and you will be live. Yeah. So Winchester Johnson, how you doing? The CONCACAF semifinals, guys, it's on as well. Jamaica is playing the United States. It's Jamaica 1, the US 0. So we have to be going back and forth between both to kind of keep ourselves in tune with what's happening there. So you'll hear some noise in the background. Those are folks who are outside the studio cheering Jamaica on. Winchester, how you doing? Hi, Keisha, how you doing? Anthony Van Rail, how you doing, my brother? Give thanks. Yeah, so that's Jamaica 1 and the United States 0. I don't know if these folks are getting, I don't know if, Doc, you can just click that link whenever you're ready, you know. Whenever you click that link, you'll be on live with us. Oh yeah, not seeing you in the studio. You probably need to, I don't know what you need to do there. You're not popping up on my side at all. Once you click, you should be in. But that's not the right one. Sorry. It's the wrong link I sent you just now. That's just the YouTube link. But here is the StreamYard. Oh, no, that's the YouTube link I've been sending you. Oh, I'm sorry, Doc. I've been sending you the wrong link, it seems. Yeah, I've been sending you the wrong link. My humblest of apology, Dr. Longmore. I messed up there. I should have been sending you this link, which is the studio link, and it's apparent that I sent you the wrong one. So here you go. That's the correct link right there. Boom. There you go. That last one there, that's the correct link. But yeah, very interesting budget. I think this wake up all the other folks who've been fast asleep and wondering what is happening and felt a little bit disheartened by the events of the last couple of days. I think they are now wide awake and they are back on the trail. I think the walkout in Parliament a few days ago had some people a little bit concerned, but I think good sense has prevailed, and the budget presentation today went with a full house, and there was really no disturbance, no heckling from the opposition side, no disrespect. They all sat and they listened word for word from the PM, and I think it was worth listening to. It was really an inspiring presentation, very inspiring presentation, and I'm happy that I got a chance to listen to most of it, most if not all of it. Huntley, how you doing? Yeah, it's the PM was excellent, as Pachai said. The PM presentation was flawless, probably one of the best presentation I've heard from him in a very long time. And just the budget, the contents, and the amount of initiatives that has been laid out was quite significant and impressive. And I don't think any sector of society tomorrow morning can say they were not positively impacted by this budget. You're talking about the elderly. I'm gonna bring up the actual budget here. I think we have a copy of it somewhere here. No. Yeah, I should have a copy of it here. Who did I get this from? Yeah, so yeah, there goes Doc is coming in now. Dr. Longmore is coming in. Yeah, Doc, how you doing?
I'm good. I'm good, Chopper. How you doing?
I'm very well, thank you. Very well, very well, very well. After such a stellar performance by Prime Minister this evening, I wanted to pick your brain a little bit on some of the initiatives that came
Yes,
through.
yes,
How do you feel
yes.
about it?
It was brilliant. The Prime Minister delivered. I think he knew that the citizens of the country, not just in Jamaica, but those in the diaspora, but also the persons who are looking on the management of the country. So the international agencies, the foreign diplomats, all these persons. And he delivered, I think, a budget presentation that responded to all of these varied audience. And he delivered in fine form.
And that really that's quite interesting because all aspect of society pretty much, and he did reiterate that at the end, noting that every single sector in society benefited. What are some of the big initiatives though that you are impressed with?
There's so many. There's so many. But what I really picked up, there was a definite effort now. You kind of see like the administration is shifting gears.
Okay.
Where, as he said, there was significant attention being paid, especially post-COVID and during COVID, to hold strong to the macro issues to ensure that we are pushing forward. And what I'm seeing now is a definite shift to bring those macro realities to the micro level. And I think that came across in many of the initiatives that he spoke of. And what I particularly liked in seeing to those micro level efforts, there was also significant effort to also be caring. To also be caring. When you hear of a special provision now being made for wards of the state.
Yeah.
For wards of the state. That is the most vulnerable of vulnerables.
And that is a test of our nation, really. Is how you treat the most vulnerable among you.
When you hear effort being made for the homeless, So it is not just the highways that are being built. It's not just the parochial roads, but it is also the people who are being disenfranchised and have been disenfranchised for generations.
Mhm.
There's actually an effort to create generational wealth consciously
And
by
it's
the
not just a talk.
administration. And it's not just talk. The other thing, if I were to just take a step back and look at the overall messaging that I think the party leader brought to the fore, is the recognition, and we all know, I think the local government election clearly was a litmus test. It reflected what the government needed to pay attention to. And I think there was almost a reminder of what a labor right is.
Yes.
What a labor right is. And, you know, Chopper, give me a little minute here. This is something that I put out there within the internal spheres. But a labor right is someone who came from the bowels of humility and used what is not somebody who's definitely, is not the back breaking. It's not a matter of back breaking hard work meaninglessly. It is someone who uses whatever honest opportunities there are to elevate themselves beyond those beginnings and to work diligently at something. It started out when it was laborers in the cane fields and the farm hands and in the factory workers and those the labor rights and the construction workers and stuff. But it has evolved in our modern days to the people who have PhDs, the people who have all sorts of qualifications. But the concept of working honestly and doing service for the people around them to benefit comes through. Because there's no question that he is surrounded by a team of people who are working. You cannot deny that. There's no question as to the level of accomplishments that has been there. And coming out of that local government election, I know a lot of people were like, all right, well, make we see, you know, what a lot of Jamaicans try to say, well, you know, there's no real choice. There's nobody better than, if somebody listened to this man's presentations today and to the leader of the opposition's presentation recently,
Chalk to
it's
cheese.
like you take it out, you take it out of my mouth. It's like chalk to cheese. And what I also loved was that the Prime Minister did not go down in the gutter with him.
Thank you.
He did not go down in the gutter with
A
him.
lot of us been saying, look, man,
No,
take them gloves
you
off
don't need
and sit
to
down there.
elevate. You know, you don't have to. When somebody's throwing stones from the gutter, you don't have to go down there. You just have to. You just have to go continue your ways. And
True.
what I appreciated was the focus on the task at hand for delivering those macro gains to the micro level.
Well, that what you just said a while ago, it sort of ties into what I said earlier. Because one of the things I looked at, Doc, is if this presentation was not the greatest connector between the macro and the micro, then I don't know what is.
Let me tell you. No, I tell you. And then, even when he thought he was done, because the man had to take out some of the stuff, because it was getting so late. He then brought back the increase in minimum wage.
Yeah, which is kind of like the icing on the cake.
You cannot get more micro again than that.
No. So those initiatives, and then you have what we would have discussed over the last few weeks coming out of the elections. And everybody has their own interpretation of why things went the way they went and what the message was coming out of the elections. And you hear a lot of persons say, well, boy, people are saying we're not feeling it. We're not feeling it. No, my argument and my question after this presentation, what does feeling it really means?
When they go to the supermarket and they're able to purchase what they would desire to purchase without strain, when they know that there's ease to send their children back to school, to feed their children. The university, the one that you know is a little bright spark, and you want to have an avenue to get this
push them
one
through.
and then you hear say no guarantor needed for student loan again, and them are gonna get one incentive on it now too,
60 grand right off the rip.
straight off the bat,
Yeah.
to give them a kickstart. When you have that university student who has gone through and graduated and is now contemplating owning a home or put a little thing over him head to say, is my space that our young couple just married, and here it is now comes an opportunity through the NHT as a starter home project. That's how I think people feel in it. You know,
But go ahead.
no, I was gonna reflect on in terms of healthcare delivery. You know, when you look at the infrastructure build out that is planned, that is afoot, you know, persons criticize are trying to criticize the Cornwall regional rehabilitation that is happening. The fact of the matter is the quality of service that is required for that population size. We cannot just do a patch-up job to show for face that, okay, look, we do it and that. That structure was in shambles for decades.
Built in 1972, built in 1967.
And here it is that they're fixing it to a point where let's make it
brand
to
new
the quality that the people deserve. And you're building out other health facilities, you're engaging and you're tying in connectivity with it and so forth, so people will feel, quote unquote, that, you know. So there are many there it was, so I have to go back and process this. We're taking the appropriations bill in the Senate next week, Wednesday, and that is when, you know, we will all take our bite of the cherry, so to speak. And relate. And I mean, I'm going to have to sit down. The environment.
Yes.
You know, Chopper, that was one of the things that because you know, what you see is a presentation that is thinking about the future of Jamaica. It is not just in the here and now. It is the preservation of green spaces. It is the protection that we know. We recognize we're going through climate crises, climate change. We need to try and enhance and enable what will continue to contribute to rainfall in the country. The green, the spaces. We're seeing to the efficient supply of water. He had to cut his presentation around water, the amount of water initiatives that are being brought to fore.
That's a high ticket item too, because that's one of the loud cries.
That is not, no, it's not just one of the loud cries, but that is how people feel it when them can go and turn on one pipe so they can feel the water on them skin.
Literally, yes.
And actually get the supply of something that is essential for life. And Chopper, it's not just the supply of that, you know. It's the fact that you're elevating people's standard
of living, yes,
and their self-esteem, and make them feel that they're worth it. That you're living in a land of wood and water, but you know have to, you know, walk up, carry water in a bucket, and have to go through the headache. I mean, we have to lift the standards for our people. And that is what I am picking up on in a lot of what the content is. The standards of the people are being lifted.
I agree with you. And you know, when you look, another thing I picked up is there's a concept that we call from the womb to the tomb, where from birth all the way up, you know, to a particular age group and all the way to throughout your life. But when you look at the program now that they not just the early childhood program, but there's a initiative that came up that he spoke about the insurance for kids. I think from 2 years old, from 2022.
I think so. Yes. Yes. Yes.
That's
Yes.
another big
Yes.
one too.
Since 2022, the
Right.
60 program
Yes.
when
Yes.
Jamaica turned six. Right.
Yes.
Since
Yes.
born after August 2022.
Yes.
An
That's a
initiative.
program.
That's the thing, and that is the one that is also now also available to the wards of the state to create
Oh.
basically like a saving a trust, so to speak, that they will, when they reach 18 years old, they're able to use it to buy a home, further education. So it is building because those vulnerable children, and as a celebration of the post 2022, to create generational wealth. Essentially, it was an initiative because
that's
especially a
great.
child.
When you look at first world, some of these initiatives are really identical to what exists in first world, more developed country. And that's why I'm
Yes.
pleased that we are at this level.
Yes.
I mean, a few years
Yes.
ago, Dr. Longmore, the fight used to be about what it is that we're going to be paying more money for, what is going to be increased tomorrow. A budget presentation, you guarantee a month before budget, every single item on the shelf is tucked away. You can't get nothing at all to purchase because
Chopper.
everybody's holding it.
Chopper, you know one of the swiftest political arguments I heard him brought in the beginning
Yes.
was when he said that the opposition and the PNP traditionally has a way of running with it,
Yes, yes.
but not creating what it is that you can run with.
What with?
Right?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
it is the same pattern that is being played out. And when I you know I always, and I try to always relate and project that I choose to put Jamaica. I'm a Jamaican first. And as a Jamaican, I have an obligation in my mind to help build Jamaica. And like every other citizen, when it comes on, and I always believe this, that if you are going to have any input, whether a criticism, whether a suggestion, whether an argument about what is happening in Jamaica, whenever you have an opportunity to do something about it, you
should.
make use of that opportunity. Whether it is going out to vote, whether it is what you are doing here, Chopper, which is stirring conversation, which is stirring thought, whether it is sitting on a veranda and having a conversation with somebody and say, you know what, me know you think, but look at this, and actively seek to improve the circumstance. Some of us may have the opportunity to help with the actual government. In that decision, as a Jamaican, you have to choose between one party and the next.
Yes.
At the end of the day, if you don't choose, somebody else is going to make the decision. And for the life of me, I cannot understand, in all objective merits, you listen to the arguments and the mannerism and the attitude of the leader who presented the budget today, and what you saw the comparison to be. How I cannot understand someone who is impartial, who can logically say that this presentation was not far superior, what the administration has been doing was not far superior to what has been done before.
You know, and I think history, Doc, is in the JLP's favor. History is in this government's favor. The Prime Minister said it on a couple of occasions, and not just today, but before, that, and other persons have said it, that there has been no other government in the history of Jamaica that has performed and has the credit that this government has gotten.
And the danger with that, Chopper, is that it is attractive to want to be squandered.
Yes.
And it could be easily standard.
Yes, but you
It
see,
is attractive. The other essence that he brought to fore was, it is not, there are people who are motivated for power, but you also have people who are motivated to uplift the people.
well,
That
that
is
is a clear distinction right there, you know.
clear distinction. Clear,
Because
absolutely clear
the
distinction.
government is able, and that's what the leader said. The leader said, we have a government that create the cash to care.
To care.
And we are the government that actually put people first.
And Chopper, you see what I saw happening from the leader of the opposition, you know. There was an active effort to incite Cascas.
Yes.
For want of a Cascas.
Yes.
For want of a better word. It's like the objectivity, the thing when he talked about even like the beach access. It's not
Yes.
the first person. It's not the first. We have the Labour Party government has been saying this from 2018. Yes,
But
it's not a matter of anything new. There is no politician in Jamaica who does not believe that Jamaicans are entitled and should have access to our beaches. But we have to create that balance, because at the same time, the tourist product is very important to the people who are employed in the industry. And the leader today announced it's probably about 10 public beaches that will now be upgraded, elevated for public access. This is not just because this was in the pipelines.
And this is a difference, Doc, between what the opposition is proposing as creating an environment or a policy to give you access to existing beach owned by somebody else. This initiative.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying, Chopper. That the proposals that were made is a whole heap of cascas contention.
Yes.
The prime minister put forth plans that were clear. Are clearly thought out. There's an avenue to accomplish them. It's not no pipe dreams. And at the end of the day, I will always celebrate in 2016.
Yes.
When he campaigned on the 1.5 and he said it cannot happen, it cannot happen, it cannot happen. See, it gone to 1.8 now, and a whole heap more.
Well,
and a whole heap more benefits.
3.0. The opposition wanted to go.
But did they say how they would do it?
Well, to be honest with you, there was nothing in their presentation that says how it will be financed.
I'm still waiting to hear. So
Some
again, a whole lot of talk. But Chopper, I'm going to have to run left you because I tell you some time limited.
Yes, man, I know. And I appreciate it, Doc. I appreciate you stopping by.
Yeah, man.
All the best.
Fantastic.
Good.
And you keep up the good work.
Thank you so much. Good. There you go, folks. So that was Dr. Longmore giving us her perspective on the budget presentation earlier. And I think she hit the nail on the head where that is concerned. The Prime Minister delivered a budget that was, just probably one of the best we have seen in a long while. And it has a positive impact on just about all the different aspects of society. There's an aspect in the final part of his presentation that I want to look at again. And that was the whole issue of corruption. When the opposition tried to scare Jamaicans and scare persons in the diaspora in how they present the facts on corruption. they make it out to be that Jamaica is the most corrupt place on earth. And it's not just the opposition who is peddling this narrative. And somebody has to stop them. There are some of these civil society groups who are hell-bent on portraying Jamaica as a corrupt society. And I cannot understand for the life of me, why is it that people like Janet Calder, Cliff Hughes, and others who commentate on Jamaica's position in the global space on a daily basis, why is it that we have never heard any of them come out and say, quote what was written in Transparency International, right? And say that Jamaica on the Transparency Index now is at the lowest in Jamaica's history. Why? How could you have that sort of ratings on the international index and you still come on a radio station every day and portray Jamaica to be the most corrupt on earth? And none of these persons, nobody's asking these guys to justify their position on how they put Jamaica in that light. Who is asking these questions? Some of these civil society leaders who profess to be the guardian of the society have a lot of questions to answer, because the Prime Minister cannot afford to lie. The Prime Minister must be factual at all times. He doesn't have the luxury of presenting a conversation and an argument that is not factual. And if Jamaica, which I've repeated it several times, on the international index, Transparency International, they are saying that Jamaica has the best ratings in over 20 or 30 years, then why is it that you don't hear these people discuss that? Jamaica today has the lowest crime rate in history. In a long time. I'm not saying history. In at least 20 odd years. But you don't hear them on the morning program. You don't hear them on the midday program. You don't hear them on the evening program saying these things. So it's like you're existing in a different space from these guys. Because their opinion of what Jamaica is just totally different from the reality. The reality. We listen to Mark Golden talking about illicit six and all of that, and nobody can point out where this illicit six argument originate. Mark Golden is portraying this Trump-like attitude towards our electoral system, where he can come and he can say the most outlandish things, and nobody challenge him. And if you do challenge him, he'll double down. He'll come back and say it again. And this election has given him some idea that he can continue, because they won 15 divisions. Wasn't enough to overturn the entire local government elections, but they felt like they got some feather. And they can run around again and double down on the misinformation. Well, I think the Jamaica Labour Party and the government have a responsibility to educate the people of Jamaica on the facts. I think some of the things that the Prime Minister outlined tonight needs to be echoed. The post-cabinet press briefing tomorrow morning must be lit to continue on what the Prime Minister just talked about. So I'm hoping that they're going to have post-cap tomorrow. And I'm hoping that on the weekend, they'll be busy out there. I'm hoping that the GLP won't be relaxed and sit back and allow the PNP to go around the country 3-4 times again like they did before, spreading propaganda and lies. And I keep saying to folks, when a lie is told and is left unchallenged, it becomes factual. It is hard to sit back and relax and allow a government that has performed the way this Andrew Holness-led administration has performed. It is hard to sit back and allow all the gains that we have made over the last few years. It is hard for us to allow that to go back into the hands of the PNP. The PNP has never grown this economy. Never. They know how to spend the money. They don't know how to make it. We've been preaching that for years. The Prime Minister said it this evening. They don't know how to create wealth. They have absolutely zero clue on how to grow the economy. But ask them to spend the money. They're ready to dish it out. They did it in the 70s. They did it in the 90s. And if you give them a chance, they'll do it again. They have not positioned themselves or presented anything to us for us to be convinced that if PNP is given a chance at this country again, they won't mash it up. A lot of Jamaicans, a lot of Labourites out there thinking that the Jamaica Labour Party should really go into the gutter with them. I probably sometimes feel that way too. Because sometimes you feel like you want to take off the gloves and just get into the mud with them. But I think good sense has prevailed. I think the Prime Minister recognized that going into the gutter with these guys is not worth it. And after careful consideration, I do believe that it's not even worth it to get into the gutter with them. But think about it, guys. After all that we have gained, and Dr. Nelson, we're still here if you still want to join us. I don't know what's happening to your connection, but we're not seeing you again. You were on earlier, but we're not seeing you anymore. But if you really... Oh, there you go, Doc. There you go.
I have been on.
Oh, Dr. Nelson, how you doing?
I'm listening to you,
Greetings, my brother.
Running away with the thing, man. When you think I have the chance to say my little piece.
I really wanted it to come on,
It sweet you so much.
Welcome, man. Welcome.
Listening, man, and then Dr. Longmore, boy, after she don't talk, I don't have nothing more to say.
The park, isn't it?
Listen to me, no chopper.
Yes.
You're talking about the most comprehensively thorough budget presentation in the history of this land. Let us not play around with this talk. Let us get it crystal clear out there. There has never been another of its kind in Jamaica, not to my knowledge, and I've been around for a little while. Now you get a chance to see my white beard.
Yes, sir, and I've removed mine.
Yes, but I'm not well groomed tonight, but I'm excited about what I just heard. I listened to most of it, not all of it, and I felt so good in my heart that I was able to witness or listen to such a serious, people-focused, nation-building, structure and strategy in a budget presentation. My smile is all over the place,
Yes.
But listen, promise made, promise kept so far.
Yes.
I was out there with the PM not too long ago in the, leading up to the local election. I flew down to Jamaica, caught him in Central Village, right?
Yes.
And I made sure I had on my comfortable Clarks, because I was prepared to take the march. Anywhere you go, I was there with him, right? And I heard the PM engage the populace in a kind of a manner that is synonymous with the walk of a caring leader. A leader who goes from station to station, bay to bay, meeting the average persons on the ground, listening to their cry, talking with them, consoling them, hugging, wrapping, lifting up the babies, hugging up the babies, and interacting with the people the way a leader should. And I heard him make some promises to these people. And tonight, I feel good that any of those persons listening in, and even if they weren't listening, he said it. He gave his word on the streets, and his budget presentation reflects that. You know, we're talking about, he mentioned about the housing situation, the mortgaging and the housing trust and the indigent housing that he's been doing. He's been doing that for a long time.
The Hope House
the one
program.
thing I was hoping to hear him mention, and I'm sure he will, because I will make sure he doesn't leave this little piece out of his mortgage and housing plan for the poor and the indigent, or the people of Jamaica, is what is commonly called generational mortgage.
Oh,
right, whereby the mortgage payment is so cheap, so small, that the poor families can have a house, mother, father, children, grandchildren, and everybody down the line will become members of this house or owners of this property across generations.
but Doc, I believe that there's something, you know. I might not be able to put my finger on it right now, but I'm almost certain that there is such a program that deals specifically with the transfer, with that generational transfer. For example, if a mortgager, let's say, hits 70 or 75, not sure, they could pass that down to a child or a grandchild, I believe. There's something there.
Okay, I would have loved to hear him rub that in a little bit more, but it's all good because he went and he strategically outlined all the government's plan to put people in houses.
Yes.
And he's going to modify the current NHT methodology, if I'm remembering correctly.
Yes.
To make it
half
more
is going
accessible.
Half is going to be increased as well by 35% thereabout. Yeah.
Right. And so all of that culminates into what I call, when I look back on the PM's promises and his talk with the people all over the place, I moved with him from Central Village to Lawrencetown.
Yeah.
And I was the guy who made that presentation to him, thanking him for coming to Lawrencetown. Miss Amor asked me to say a word of thank you to him. And then we went from Lawrencetown to Moko. We ended up in Thompsontown, my neck of the woods, Northwest Clarendon, and Ricci, and then he went on to Spalding's Manchester side. But he has indicated tonight in his budget presentation that he knows and he understands that the voice of the people is akin to the voice of God. Right? You remember that phrase?
Absolutely, absolutely.
All right. And so he's working with that, he understands it, and he's making all the effort, pulling out all the stops to put the human resource of Jamaica as pivotal in the whole business of nation building. And as the economic development happens, the Prime Minister is aware that you have to bring with it the human resource. You have to bring with that the skills training. And he's going above and beyond to get some of these young people off the street corners.
Yes, sir.
Give them incentives to make them want to go learn a skill.
$15,000 for transportation, another $13,000.
Where was that when I was in Frankfield wanting to go to school?
I wish I had that. You could go through Hart. You pay no tuition.
Yes.
You get an incentive and a stipend to go. And when you finish with Hart, if you want to go further into university, you need no guarantor anymore. Yes. And you get a $60,000 at the door.
Listen to me, man. This government is paying the young people, you see, to take care of themselves.
But there's another thing too, because each constituency is now asked to provide 30 individuals.
Yes.
Right?
That is a
to go through this
record.
program.
That's a record-breaking initiative.
No, Doc, you would have heard the discussions all over since the local government election about who not feeling it and, not enough programs. The only thing that I could interpret from that, because I believe that what the Prime Minister present tonight would have basically rubbished that argument. So the only thing else that one could really ask for is for all of this to be transferred into raw cash, placed in an envelope, and say, go to your constituency office every week and pick up that $60,000, pick up the $15,000, go and get that $13,000, and a matter of fact, that additional $2,000 on the minimum wage, go and get it as well and do nothing at all.
Can you imagine? When I hear the minimum wage piece, what came to my mind was simply this. My goodness, as the economy moves forward.
Yes, you're giving the gains back to the people.
The Prime Minister is moving the people along with it.
Thank you, sir.
Incrementally speaking. You see what I'm saying?
Thank you.
And that is key point. That's a key factor that we need to realize. Now, this government, and based on this presentation that was just made, this groundbreaking presentation, now we can see everything culminating into the Jamaican trajectory into first world status.
There you go. There you go.
The preparation is going on right now, right?
But the initiatives, Dr. Nelson, these initiatives, and you and I are familiar with first world countries. Mm-hmm. If you look in most first world countries, the initiatives that we are seeing coming through now are those that exist in first world countries.
Exactly.
Every European country right now has a child care insurance policy or some child care system in place to protect the youngest and the most vulnerable among us. And this government is doing that.
This Prime Minister is taking the grassroots needs and as a focus, and he's nurturing it, he's balancing it, he's making sure that these young people in the grassroots or from the grassroots are skilled enough to meet what I call the fourth industrial revolution initiative. That's where Jamaica is heading right now under this government. You have to have the complementary balancing.
But Doc, you remember what he said about heart? You heard what he said about heart, not just waiting for these youngsters to come into heart, but that heart should find a way to go to them.
And find them, yes. A lot of them hanging on the street corner. I listen to him talk to some of these people. So this is not a story I'm telling you. I was there in the crowd, right? Listening to him, meeting the people on the ground, talking with them, listening to their cries, listening to their pleas. You know what I heard him said in Central Village that made me laugh and really felt good? They were arguing with him about the water crisis out there. Mm. And road. And he told them clearly, point blank, that I will focus on fixing perhaps the main road. We have this Spark initiative coming on board. He told it to them. And we might not be able to do all the roads in your community all at once. There has to be phases in how the road repairs and development and rehabilitation happens. And the water will come with it. But you have to promise me one thing.
Yes.
When you get the water, you must know that you have to pay your water rate.
Absolutely. Yes.
And he insisted on the crowd giving him that promise.
That commitment, yes.
That commitment. Because it is critical for us to understand that when all of this infrastructural development happens, there has to be accountability measures in place.
Yes.
Or else we would regress to where we are and even further. You know?
He mentioned something as well, Doc, which is quite profound. He spoke to the two ideology. One professed by Eddie Siaga, which is saying that it takes cash to care. And he looked at the ideology of Percival James Patterson, who says we put people first. And he skillfully,
The Colesk.
yes,
We call it
Andrew
in
Holness
education, we call it the
skillfully,
Colesk. The
he
Colesk.
skillfully merged those two
Merge them,
together.
yes, that is what we call the Colesk factor.
Yes,
Coalesce is spelled Coalesce. Coalesce.
yes,
When you merge two initiatives into one focal, purposeful objective,
yes.
that's what it is called, right? And I heard that piece and I had to laugh because you cannot build without materials.
You
cannot
can't.
build without the basic building blocks with which to build.
But you see, Doc, we have to face some reality here, you know, because I'm a student of history, and I believe that history must always be your guide, because when you do that, you will not make the same mistake. In the 1970s, and I like to point this out to people all the time, we had the same experience where
Yes.
this government would have grown the economy. And I mean, we grew at 18.01% in 1972, the highest economic growth.
I remember that, yes.
Yes. And we had some of the greatest development at the time. And the PNP came in, implemented some initiatives that wiped all that out.
Crash program.
Precisely because they were spending, they are good at spending. I'll tell you that. I'll give it to them. When it comes to crafting initiatives that will dole money out to people, they are good at it.
But they didn't lie, no, Trapper.
No.
If you listen to the whole thing, go back to where you thought. I was around in Frankfield those days. In fact, I was getting ready to head out to high school back in them times.
Yes.
I remember Crash Program. The very acronym speaks to the nature of the program. Crash.
Yes. Crash. And today people don't understand. Crash, it must crash. Because
it wasn't going anywhere.
You're
It was riding
what you don't have.
It was riding hard and fast, but it was going to crash.
Yes, and it did. Crash,
and it did.
Because
people leaning up on brooms. People leaning up on brooms, leaning up on shovels, supposed to be working and just passing the time. And getting paid for it.
Man, they had a program where they had one single truck that was used to drop mall. And that same truck was used to rotate over and over. They paid for, I think they had 75,000 checks drawn.
Yes.
During that same period. And I'm not saying this because there's a report out that I read that thing in. 70,000 checks. And it was the one truck that was used to just rotate over. So there was that was a period where people's names were being added to a list for payment without work.
Without work, yes. It was
and I think that there's that mindset that still exists among some of those persons today. And that is why I am very, very worried that this country will not make that mistake again. When we have great economic growth, to turn it over to a government that likes to spend but knows nothing about how to earn.
I am of the opinion that we will not regress in those gutters again. And I'm hoping that I'm correct. Because what I will say to the Prime Minister, and I will say it here, and if I see him, I say to him too.
Yes.
Because he is on the right trajectory. Jamaica is moving in the right direction. And we have a brilliant finance minister in Dr. Clark. I have a lot of respect for this guy. I think, he deserves all the acclaims he can get. But what I would say to the PM going forward and the government is that despite all of these grand plans that you have out there, and by the way, before I say my point, I have one grievance, and I'm hoping that is because he had too many papers to go through while he never made mention of what Northwest Clarendon's water crisis and need. Yes. I heard Mr. Sibley's constituency coming up with good treatment and Northern Clarendon, but I did not hear anything of Northwest Clarendon.
Well, you need to knock on doors and find out what's happening.
So I exactly, and I'm not going to hit the Prime Minister for that. I'm just going to do my homework talk to him
Yes.
if I have to, and to find out what is in store for Northwest Clarendon. I know there are generalized developmental plans out there, and that will affect everybody everywhere. But the fact I didn't hear Northwest Clarendon pointed out kind of gave me a little bit of scratch, you know. What's
Yes.
going on
Yes.
here?
A little itch.
But
But I have
look,
no doubt that it might be somewhere there in the documentation.
I am hoping it is. I'm sure it
Yes.
is. I'm sure it
Yes.
is. Because as I said, he put forth a very comprehensive
Yes.
national developmental plan in his budget presentation. And not only talking about what the government want to do, he is identifying the funding sources. He is
And
identifying the methodology,
which is
right?
the key, you know, because one of the things, and he said it too, he really emphasized on it at the end there when he said you should take that budget presentation, read it line by line,
Yes.
and ask both the government and the opposition how you're going to fund it. In truth, you don't have to ask the government because they really outline where they're going to get the funding from. I haven't heard that with the opposition presentation. That's why I'm worried.
You notice I'm not even talking about the opposition.
I
learned
know.
one thing. I learned one thing a long time ago. You know,
Yes.
my father. I don't know if you knew my daddy, Mr. Curtis Nelson. He was very fundamental in the Labour Party back in the 60s. One of the first of three men to stand with Edward Seaga back in West Kingston. He's now gone. But my father used to say, "No point in flogging dead horses."
No point at all. Nothing to gain there.
Nothing to get. So I'm not even going to mention the opposition. I pity them. I sympathize with them on the grounds of ignorance. You know, and we just have to move forward and hope that they'll make some recovery. But because we need a balance. If we're going to have a democratic system, we need to have a balance.
Stand by for a second. We're going to listen to this little clip and then we're going to come back and discuss it.
And workers are out of
Just a
job
quick sec.
while they recruit. New businesses come into operation. But there is also frictional unemployment where the worker voluntarily changes job and there is a lag between leaving one job and finding another. In addition to ensuring that labor is trained and constantly upskilled in relevant areas aligned to the market demand, in this era of virtual full employment, that is where we are now.
Virtually full employment.
Technically, that's where we are. Full employment. Heart must play the leading role in attracting persons into the workforce. As I travel across Jamaica, I come upon many young persons who should be working, who say they want to work. Some say they have certification. Some say they have skills, but they can't find a job. The youth that is 14 to 24, the youth unemployment rate in October 2023 was 12.6% or 26,000 persons. So if you think about it strategically, if we're going to find new people to put in the labor force to get into jobs, we already have 26,000 persons that Heart needs to focus on to get them ready, to get them skilled, and to pair them with a job. So strategically, from a policy perspective, what we are going to do, right, is to focus on this area. We must find these young people and not so young people. We must find them where they are. And we must develop programs to increase their employability. So in the short term, yes, we're going to try and really reduce this 26,000. Because they are the ones who say they are looking for jobs, but they can't find jobs because they are youthful. Obviously, they may not have skills and they don't have experience. And they may not have a work-ready attitude. And so we're going to target Heart into that area. So this year, the Heart NSTA Trust will introduce the Community Action for Rewarding Engagement initiative called, what does that spell? That's the CARE initiative. to reach every young man and woman who is not working and is not enrolled in a training program. Heart will be proactive in finding you and bringing you to the well of training.
Amen. Amen. Amen to that. Heart will be finding you,
Yes.
and bringing you into the workforce.
You see, there was a time, Chopper, when I was getting so upset with seeing these youngsters on the road holding up the corners and rubbing things in them palm.
Yes.
And I would say the government need to have a mandatory work program. That if
I
you're
was
not
saying the military program. I wanted it to be military driven.
I mean, I was just frustrated, when I was thinking like that. We cannot have young people holding up the corner shop, leaning on the walls and doing all of these things with no accountability, no training, nothing, no engagement, no positive involvement in the society. We have to fix that. So I'm happy to hear this tonight. I'm happy to hear this. My addition to this, though, would simply be this. Once upon a time, we had, you remember things Jamaican?
Yes, man. On Spanish Town Road.
Bumperall, yes.
It's now the prison.
No, that was one of the biggest retrograde steps that were made.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Now, I said all of that just to say this. While Heart is going to be incentivized and empowered to take care of some of these young people, correctly so, I am looking at the Edna Manley College, of which I am very connected. I was a professor there for many years. And while it is supposed to be a pure arts institution,
yes,
there was a program there where youngsters would come in from all over the country and get some skills training in textiles, weaving, tie-dye, batik, craft stuff, under the tutelage and the guidance and direction of a gentleman who was called Jerry Craig.
Yes.
I don't know if you remember Mr. Craig. He was principal of the institution in those days, and he was very craft-oriented. Now, there is always a conflict between fine arts and craft.
Yes.
There's a thin divisional line between the two. Very interconnected, but different. Yes. I am saying all of this to say this, that I would want to hear institutions such as the Edna Manley College, School of Visual Arts, and all of the schools, the 4 schools there. My question is now, how would this institution factor into the developmental trajectory of the government? I am of the opinion that the arts training should be at a place where we can also see it as a national income earner. We should be leading the charge, Chopper, in reggae music lessons internationally. People should be coming to Jamaica School of Music to learn this genre.
But that, stick up in right there. I don't know if you follow some of these dancers. Some are females, some are males. Reggae dancers, dancers. Most of them from in the inner cities.
Yes.
Did you know that those guys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, have a lucrative market in Asia and also in Europe?
Yes.
And that's what they do when they go there?
Yes.
Dance classes.
Berkeley School of Music has a comprehensive reggae music course or program. Yes. That made me want to cry when I see it. I was thinking that should be happening in Jamaica. You see my drift? Yeah. So the question here now is, how can we factor the arts in education, or the visual arts as an entity, income earner, training and skills training for young people? A lot of them are very artistic. How does that factor into this formula, to which the Prime Minister is alluding to, where heart is concerned?
Yes. So you're looking at heart. Heart is now the driving force in skill development, and you're saying
exactly.
You're saying that
we have another institution out there
that could do some of the heavy lifting.
Exactly, exactly. Because there are other kinds of skills training that need to be developed.
Yes, yes, yes. I
Not
agree with
just
you.
those, not just those for the industry
I agree with you
and
100%.
and high tech.
And it's
So
an idea
I
that you probably should put pen to paper and squeeze. Because I know one of the persons that you could probably talk to about that, which I think would make a lot of sense. And I don't see why she wouldn't bite hook, line, and sinker, is the newly minted minister who is responsible for skill training.
okay.
I I think she would be a very good person to put that note
I,
to.
I am in dialogue with the Ministry of Education.
Diana Morrison is
You
the
know,
new minister, and she is responsible for skill training. I guarantee you. If you put
I
that,
am in dialogue because it falls under the Ministry of Education. And so I am in dialogue with the Ministry of Education as we speak.
well, the institution falls under the Ministry of Education, but the
Right.
initiative that
Mm-hmm.
you are promoting right now, one of
Mm-hmm.
the best persons to bring that to is the newly minted minister with responsibility for
Okay.
skills integration and training. Dina Morris, I think her name is, but don't quote me on that. I'll
Morris
find
or
the email
Morris.
for you. I think it's Morrison. She is the ideal person, and I bet my last dollar she'll buy it because
I'd
it
love
makes a
to
lot of sense.
I'd love to talk with her, Minister
It
of
makes a
Skills
lot of
Training.
sense. Yes, it
Yes.
makes a lot of sense.
We have to look at the thing, three-dimensionally. The Prime Minister put out
Yes,
a very, very thorough and fundamental.
solid foundation.
Yes. But there are other facets of it or other entities out there that can be
Her name is
factored
Dana
under.
Morrison. Dana
Dana.
Morrison. Dana
Mm-hmm.
Morrisson, and she's a
Yeah.
minister. She's a minister in the Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation,
Yeah,
with
I'll find her.
responsibility for skills.
I'll pay her a visit.
Please, you need to. You need to. Because that's a
Yeah.
good idea right there. I
Mm-hmm.
think Heart is focused more on the hardcore training.
Technical stuff, IT, technological. But then, you have to also wonder, Hart is doing that. Where does UTech fall into this, if
Well,
any?
UTech now would pick up at the higher level. Remember
Right?
that initiative for persons going in.
Most
So
the high
that's where
schoolers.
UTech is going to pick that up.
Yes,
They're
yes.
going to get that $60,000, and you're going to
Mm-hmm.
get that no guarantor stuff going in at the
Mm-hmm.
tertiary level.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Edna Manley, I think, is probably one tier down in terms of the skills training. And UTech might have some programs there too that are driven by skills
Yeah. Edna Manley is at the tertiary level also.
as well. Yes. Yes.
Yes, but we need to see how we can factor the college into all of this going forward.
Yeah. But that's a very good idea, and I think it's worth listening to. Let's take another couple of minutes of this, and then I'm going to come back to you and we can wrap it up. Just a quick second.
All right.
If our economy is to grow,
And that's the doctor in the background there.
able-bodied
Mm-hmm.
man and woman who is able and capable of working to join the labor force. The CARE initiative will be activated in all 63 constituencies. Each member of parliament
Here you
will be
go.
asked to identify 30 young persons from their constituency using predetermined selection parameters set by the program. A specialized team in Heart will go to their houses or meet them on the corner if necessary to engage with them and enroll them into the program that will enhance their employability. Madam Speaker, as I travel across Jamaica and I speak to our young people, they tell me that making Heart free of tuition is great, but some of them struggle to find money for transportation and to buy lunch. They say,
Yes.
Prime Minister, I want to come and do the training, but I don't have the bus fare. I want to get a skill, but I won't be able to buy lunch. when I go to the training center.
I was
This is
witness
the
to all of that
This
happening.
is why we have decided
Yes.
that every student enrolled in HEART under the new care initiative will receive a monthly transportation stipend of $15,000 to offset transportation costs
Wow.
to the HEART institutions in which they will be enrolled. The grant will be tied to their attendance, obviously, and we will go even further. All trainees under the CARE program will receive an additional stipend of $13,000 per week for the duration of the training.
That's some
No
big stuff.
excuse. No excuse not to get trained.
That's some
For
big
some
stuff.
persons
Yes.
who will reach, for some persons who will read through this program, extensive training may not be required. A lot of them that I have met, they tell me they have certificates, they are a welder, they are this, they are that. But you realize that in speaking to them, what may have been the challenge? Because I tell you, they go to interviews, they might be the challenge of the work ethic, the challenge of the interpersonal skills, the work readiness, and the workplace ethic skills. Those are things that we may have to work on.
So here comes the
program may not
partnership now for
necessarily
that.
have to cater
Yes.
to intensive training, but more work readiness skills.
JDF.
And if that is the case, this will also be done quite easily. So this will do job placement, mentorship, and career guidance where necessary. We recognize the urgent nature of the problem of shortage of skilled labor. I would go as far to say that it is now a national emergency.
Yes.
We need to do everything possible, including moral suasion and incentivization, to bring more Jamaicans back into the labor force. In this regard, though HEART must lead the effort, it cannot do it alone. HEART will partner with well-structured and accountable entities on initiatives to attract and train more Jamaicans to the workforce. HEART Trust is currently partnering with Project STAR. Let me repeat that. The HEART Trust is currently partnering with Project STAR, not outsourcing, partnering with Project STAR in 5 communities: Rose Gardens, Parade Gardens in downtown Kingston, Savannah Mar in Westmoreland, Maypen West in Clarendon, and Salt Spring in St. James, to reach unemployed and unattached youth in these communities. Last year, I announced that HEART will partner with the JDF to add a component to the
I love that piece.
to the
I
Jamaican
love that
National
piece.
Service Corps
Yes.
program to leverage the excellent training and character development capabilities of the JDF. This program is still in the planning phase, and we expect to begin rollout later in the coming financial year. The JNSC program continues to provide an avenue for Jamaica's youth to access regimented training, serve their country, and earn. Since the start of the program in June 2017, a total of 6,220 persons have been trained, 5,070 males and 1,150 females. To date, 4,259 candidates have transitioned to become full members of the JDF.
Well, you see what I'm talking about.
Yes.
So that tells you there that this man is serious.
Of course, but let me tell you this much. I will say one thing to the Prime Minister now. You know, in addition to all of what he just laid out there, find them, HEART will find them and bring them to training. They have
Yes.
no excuse. They have no excuse anymore. But listen, hear this piece. There is a significant amount of skilled young people, or maybe not so young, across Jamaica who cannot get work because their level of skill, they can't get certified for it, and they won't get work because they did not go through an academic structure
Yeah.
by which they got certified. And let me give you an example. Auto mechanics.
Yes.
A young man in the garage all his life hanging around the mechanic Then he got to get into the thing, get him hand greasy, learn the thing, become a master auto
A bit,
mechanic.
yes.
Even the man who run the shop have to call him to help him solve some problem. This guy would never get certified. So what I'm thinking here is, which is happening in other parts of the world, where you get a certification based on your life experience and your knowledge
Doc, can I
of
tell you?
practical skill.
It exists right here in Jamaica.
Wonderful, because I was not aware of that.
It exists not only in auto mechanic, but it also exists in construction.
I use that as an example, auto mechanic. Okay.
You know that in construction right now in Jamaica,
Mhm.
Heart will go on a site and certify you right there.
Wonderful. I didn't even know
Certify
they
as
were
a
doing it.
mason, a steel worker, a carpenter, a welder, right on site.
You're sharing something with me now that I did not even realize.
And I enjoy doing this because I'm happy that I'm privy to that. It
Yes.
exists here. We're doing it.
I'm glad to know that.
Oh,
I'm glad to
absolutely.
know.
Heart is on it. And a mechanic, you want a certification in auto mechanic, Jagas will come to you and they will approve you, certify you right there in your own garage.
You prove yourself right there.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Wonderful. Wonderful.
So we are in business.
We're moving.
Oh yes. Oh yes.
We're moving. Well, listen.
Yes.
All I would say is this was refreshing.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I feel moved. I'm happy. I'm just smiling and smiling and smiling
Yes.
right all the way to my bed.
Same here, sir. And we should do this again, Doc. I'm happy that you found some time to come on with us this evening. I would definitely have to do it again.
Just keep the link, man. Call me anytime, and I'll gladly become an audience with you and discuss stuff with you. Because we need to do this.
Absolutely, I appreciate it.
And as I said, the one little thing that's stuck in my craw, as my grandmother used to say, is the water crisis in Northwest Clarendon, that I did not hear anything planned to address it. So I don't know who to blame for that. I'm hoping that the Prime Minister had it in his pile and just did not get to turn that page. I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt.
He did say that there's some stuff that he will announce in Parliament using a different method. So,
and he did give a comprehensive overview of water development across the country.
Yes.
Right? So it's all good. I'm sure it will be addressed.
Definitely. Again, Doc, we appreciate you.
One love, Chopper.
All the best.
Thank you so much.
Good. Yeah, man. So that was Dr. Clovis Nelson passing through there. We had Dr. Longmore earlier. We appreciate these guys for coming in and giving us their perspective on things, and the budget in particular. I think it's out of 10. It sounds like an 11 or 12 to me. But Troy, big up yourself. Remember, there is $1 billion on the rural water. Yes, there is. Greater love has no man than the love for his life and for his friends. A lot of folks don't know that they can get certified on their life experience in Jamaica. Yeah, a lot of persons don't know. And that's why I was happy to relay that to Dr. Nelson, because I know that it exists. And I am very familiar with the process in getting that done. So I'm happy. Folks, I'm not going to stay too long tonight. I appreciate you guys coming in. I'm going to ask you all one favor, though. We're trying to move our YouTube channel up. We need a few more to get it to 1,000 so we can actually go live on the channel and can do some more stuff there. So if you guys can just hop over to the YouTube channel and like the YouTube channel, follow the YouTube channel, press that notification bell. That simply means whenever we go live, you'll be the first to get notified. The YouTube channel, Chops Media. Just hop over there for me, folks. My TikTokers, how are ya? How y'all doing? I trust that y'all are doing well. My TikTokers, hop over to the YouTube channel and go ahead and follow that page. Get us up to 1,000 real quick. I know you guys can do it. Barbara Bailey, Andrea Brown, big up yourself. Pat, big up yourself. Who else we got? We got Mario was in the building. Bali was in the building. Who else? Let me just big up all of these folks. Janet, Annette Allen, Bali Foster, my friend. Big up yourself. Jadi, Pamela, Herman, big up yourself. Big up yourself. Thank you all for coming through. Val Rose, my darling. I trust that you are doing very well. Herman Hyatt, big up yourself. Joseph, big up yourself. Welcome. Cornell LV, big up yourself. Mario, again, big up Mario Hall is in the building. Alex Smith, big up yourself. Eldon Lewis, what's going on? Chiefy Dan, big up yourself again. Who else we got? And we got Annette. We got the man called Jamaica Risi. Big up yourself. Pamela Erwin Ewan. Yeah, big up yourself. Sir Phil Gale, big up yourself. Good to see you. Welcome. Thank you for joining us. And everybody, just one love and appreciate you all coming through. Barbara Bailey. The YouTube channel, Chops Media. Please, I beg of you, hop over there, my TikTokers, and just follow that page. Get us up to 1,000. And for those of you on Facebook, those of you on YouTube, hop over to my TikTok page as well, Chops Media, and like and follow that page as well, because we want to bring these numbers up to where they need to be so we can have the platform with the size to get it the sort of publicity that it needs. Yeah, so there you have it, folks. Again, Michelle, big up yourself. It was a great evening. Thank you all so much for joining. I appreciate you guys. We're not doing this as often as we ought to because we have other engagement, but I appreciate you because every time we go live, you all come out in your hundreds and you support us. You've been doing this for a long time. Hey, folks, y'all don't know, but we've been at this from 2015. So we're 9 years. We're going to be 10 years very soon. And we have to get all our YouTube, all our pages up to at least 10,000 followers right at about our 10-year anniversary. We started in 2015. We're in 2024 right now. And I'm telling you that it is going to be a nice celebration when we hit that 10-year mark. Bridget, what's going on, Bridget Boo? Big up yourself. Good to see you. Lily Williams, good to see you. Welcome. For my folks over on TikTok, I'll be over there in a few minutes, so just hang tight. When we leave this side of town, we're going to head over to TikTok to have a little quick chat with our folks over there. But for now, all my folks on TikTok, head over to the YouTube channel, Chops Media. Follow that page for us. Like it and support it. Hit that notification bell. That simply means whenever we go live, you'll be the first to get notified. And for all my folks over on, all the folks on the live right now, all 200 plus of you guys, please head over to my TikTok page, also Chops Media, and give us a follow, give us a like. I beg you. Trust me, I appreciate it. Let's go ahead and hop over there. It's a good night. Great budget. One of the best I've seen. Prime Minister Holness hit it out the park. One of the best budget presentation I have seen in a long time. Comprehensive, thorough, touches almost every sector of society. No stone was left unturned. Nobody should wake up tomorrow morning and tell me about who not feeling it and who not feeling it. Get up and go look at work. Right? Get up and go look at work. Because the only thing left for us to do is to roll up the money, put it in a brown paper bag, and carry come to you. And that is not going to happen. The government has created opportunity for every Jamaican at every level. Do not allow the PNP to fill up your ears and head with garbage. Do not allow them. Do not allow them. Do not allow them to do it. They have spent a long time within the last few years going house to house, convincing people that their circumstances is not as good as it is. And that's a lie from the pit of hell. So I say to you, opportunities are out there. Make use of these opportunities and let nobody tell you otherwise. I don't know what it is that a man could give me more that would be more important to me than a skill. Heart is now paying you, youngsters on the corner rubbing out your middle, $15,000 and another $13,000 just to show up at school. Get a skill. Jobs available. Hotels are being built. All kinds of development. Highways, roads. There should be no reason for anybody to come here and tell me about macro not meeting micro. This budget should have been dubbed the connection between micro and macro. It did that. This budget presentation connected the macro economy to the micro economy. And there's nobody who can question that. There's no better connection than what we saw this evening. Moving minimum wage from $13,000 to $15,000. Creating insurance program for kids going all the way up to 18. Yeah. These are programs and initiatives that you can't beat no matter how hard you try. So I say to you, stay focused. Don't get caught up in the propaganda, misinformation, and lies. Your government delivered this evening. If there's ever a way to connect micro to macro, this evening, this presentation by Andrew Holness did just that. I'm going to put this on to play for a few more, and you guys can watch it for a little bit. We're going to wrap it up when we come back. Stick and stay.
Have been certified and prepared for the job market, where they are highly sought after by employees in the security and technical fields. Madam Speaker, one critical sector that has signaled their need for additional labor is construction. We have developed an accelerated apprenticeship program in partnership with some construction firms, which will involve a 3-month pre-apprenticeship period to develop employability skills, as well as technical competencies, a 7-month immersive training placement on the construction site for 4 days, and in the Heart Institution for 1 day, an on-the-job mentorship phase, and an assessment and certification following 7 months of on-the-job exposure. This creative approach will make the training in construction more aligned to industry needs, and we will be able to put persons to work in a shorter time frame. Madam Speaker, and this is another partnership that we are pursuing. Madam Speaker, this administration believes in economic independence and self-empowerment. Not every young person will be an employee. We need more self-employed. We need more young entrepreneurs. Having removed tuition fees for all Heart programs up to level 4, this year we're building on that. Starting April 1, 2024, every successful graduate of a level 4 trade program will receive a grant of $50,000 to help them acquire the tools of their trade and to step up to the next stage of their career. For those who are on path or wards of the state, this grant will be increased to $75,000. Additionally, starting next financial year, the Heart NSTA Trust will open a special grant facility of up to $100,000 for Heart certified trainees who have registered a trade or business that has been operating for more than a year. The beneficiaries will also be assisted in refining their business plans, executing marketing activities, further capacity building, and other forms of technical support. Madam Speaker, while we are on the subject of supporting graduate trainees, I would also like to mention that the Development Bank of Jamaica has introduced the trade person tool, the trade person opportunity ownership loan. That spells tool. Interesting. The trade person ownership opportunity loan, which will be launched in June 2024. Under the tool program, loans will be offered to small contractors through the DBJ with partnership institutions at an interest rate of 9% for up to 24 months, and will provide up to $500,000 per applicant to assist with acquiring tools or upgrading tools of their trade. So technically, Madam Speaker, a graduate could get 50,000 grant and then go to DBJ and get another loan for 500,000 to buy the tools necessary to start off their business. These grants and technical assistance are a deliberate effort to provide our trainees and small businesses with meaningful support to increase their productivity and grow their businesses. Madam Speaker, this year the Heart Trust will launch the Skills on Demand portal, which will connect skilled professionals with potential employers and clients. If you need a plumber to fix a leak at your house, you will be able to go on the Skills on Demand portal and identify plumbing professionals who have registered and who have been verified as having training and certification from Heart. Skilled professionals will be able to advertise their skills, their previous employers' ratings, and their current location to potential employers and clients. Potential employers and clients will benefit from access to an array of talent that has been verified, and they will have the ability to post specific job openings to individuals with required skills. Madam Speaker, we are a listening government, we are a learning government, and we are a caring and responsive government. We have listened to our young people, we have listened to businesses who are clamoring for trained workers, and we are responding. We believe that by training and upskilling our workforce, we can break the vicious cycle of the low-wage economy. A skilled workforce is an attraction in itself for investments and location of high productivity jobs. Labor will drive growth and create a virtuous cycle of productivity and prosperity. Labor will drive growth and create a virtuous cycle of productivity and prosperity. Madam Speaker, I now turn attention to the build-out of Jamaica's road infrastructure. The vision of a more seamless, connected Jamaica is taking place. The Southern Coastal Highway Improvement Project is the largest integrated road infrastructure project ever undertaken in Jamaica. The Harbour View to Yallah's Bridge leg of the highway was officially opened in February of this year. This impressive 17.4 kilometers of roadway has significantly reduced travel between Kingston and St. Thomas from 45 minutes to 15 minutes. Wow. If you talk about increasing productivity, along the roadway, there has been the installation of approximately 28 kilometers of water lines, 350 meters of sewer lines, and 17.8 meters of fiber optic ducts, benefiting some 348 properties. The government, Madam Speaker, we get things done. At the completion of the works on the stretch of road leading to Morant Bay, I intend to officially name the highway the Right Excellent Paul Bogle Highway in honor of our national hero who gave his life in the struggle against oppression and injustice in Jamaica. When the chapter of our history is written about St. Thomas, it will show that this administration has done the most for the people of St. Thomas. That we have brought roads, water, jobs, industries, and development to what is now being called the Renaissance Parish. The government is now focused on completing the Yallas Bridge to Port Antonio and the Morant Bay to Cedar Valley legs of the highway, which will open up the corridor with water, broadband, and sewer lines in some areas. The government, Madam Speaker, is now concentrating efforts on commencing the Port Antonio bypass project in the coming fiscal year. The bypass will unfold in two phases. The phase 1, which is from Norwich to Turtle Crawl Harbor, which is 7 kilometers, and phase 2 from Turtle Crawl Harbor to Boston Bay, 11 kilometers, aligning with the goals of the Southern Coastal Highway Improvement Project. Currently, the government of Jamaica is exploring phase 1, estimated at approximately US $82 million, with a duration of 24 months, aiming to improve access to the growing town and to mitigate against coastal risks. Madam Speaker, the long-awaited Maypen to Williamsfield leg of the highway was opened in September 2023. This 27-kilometer stretch has not only slashed travel times from Maypen to Williamsfield to approximately 15 minutes, but has also ignited interest in development along its path. Private sector interest is growing in developing land along the corridor for housing and agriculture, and we're seeing great opportunities for economic growth. The security forces and the fire brigade have also welcomed this vital artery because it facilitates easier access to communities which were once difficult to police and give services. Moreover, the strengthened link between the Mandeville Regional Hospital and the University Hospital of the West Indies and the KPH in Kingston has reduced transportation times, saving precious lives. Madam Speaker, Trans-Jamaica Highway Limited, which operates the East-West Highway from Caymanas to Maypen under a concession agreement, has a right of first refusal to operate the new Maypen to Williamsfield Highway. The Trans-Jamaica Highway has exercised their right under the concession agreement by making an offer to the government of Jamaica. This offer is being evaluated by independent financial advisors and negotiations are ongoing. In order to facilitate conclusion of these negotiations, the toll period is being extended until July 1, 2024. Madam Speaker, Madam Speaker, I noted last year that we would be moving further along the Williamsfield, Manchester to Hodges, St. Elizabeth corridor. This extension will also include a northern Mandeville bypass, a spur tree bypass, and I know a lot of people will be happy for that, a spur tree bypass, a Southfield bypass, and a Black River bypass. Value engineering exercises have been performed to reduce the project cost and at the same time increase its functionality. Madam Speaker, the residents of South St. Elizabeth will be part of the stakeholder consultation process to ensure their input is obtained and incorporated from the design stage to project delivery. Madam Speaker, I'm happy to report that the Montego Bay Perimeter Road is progressing steadily and is already 30% complete. As a reminder, the project includes the Montego Bay bypass itself, which will be 15 kilometers. I keep saying bypass, the Montego Bay Perimeter Road, sorry, the Perimeter Road, because you can't really bypass Montego Bay. It's a perimeter road. The Long Hill bypass, 11 kilometers, and that is well needed. The current road is treacherous and in a really bad state. The Barnett Street and West Green Avenue road rehabilitation, and a comprehensive drainage study of the Montego Bay area.
Yes.
Madam Speaker, I now turn to the North Coast Highway. The North Coast Highway public-private partnership will see the expansion of the North Coast Highway from Sea Castles in St. James to Miami Bay in St. Anne from 2 lanes to 4 lanes. So that area of congestion which currently exists, the government is well advanced in its plans to deal with that area. As part of the due diligence process, a number of studies have been completed, including traffic studies, as well as environmental and social impact studies. The requisite documentation is now being compiled with an aim to launch the tender process in the 4th quarter of this calendar year. Madam Speaker, the old coastal towns of Lucy and Hopewell in Hanover did not benefit from modern urban planning. In fact, they both date back to hundreds of years ago, in a time when horse and buggy was the mode of transportation. Those roads are now a bottleneck. So the Lucy Hopewell bypass will be a 4-lane highway that will start at a grade-separated intersection along the new Long Hill bypass that is currently being constructed. The alignment will then traverse westwards for 30 kilometers with link roads to the main roads before and after the towns of Hopewell and before terminating on the west side of the town of Lucy. Madam Speaker, the KMA is an area of focus for the government. It's the area of largest population, it's the capital, it has the largest traffic flow. In 2024-2025, the government will look at improving the Washington Boulevard corridor, stretching from New Haven to Dunrabin. The NWA has been tasked with developing detailed engineering designs to enhance this corridor. The project scope encompasses not only traffic flow optimization, but also endeavors to elevate visual appeal, recognizing its pivotal role as a gateway into our capital city. Moreover, essential infrastructure installations such as water networks and fiber optic cabling will be facilitated to augment the services that are carried on that road. Madam Speaker, a year or so ago, I had made the commitment that we would upgrade Washington Boulevard. It's as it is now, it is not a good reflection on the entry into Kingston. And it is a very difficult piece of road to navigate. It really does need serious attention. And so, Madam Speaker, I'm happy to report that work has actually started, if only the planning phase, on improving this corridor. Madam Speaker, I know Jamaicans are listening to my presentation with concerns about their community roads. The issue of roads is often a pain point with complaints of dodging potholes and having to replace front ends. Over the past few weeks on the campaign trail, one of the most frequent questions asked was, Prime Minister, where are you about the road? The point must be made that the deplorable state of our roads has not happened since 2016, and I must repeat that over and over and over. It is the result of decades of neglect and inadequate maintenance even before our independence. Today, there are 22,000 kilometers of roadways in Jamaica, and we estimate that roughly half of them are in a state of disrepair. Many politicians over the years have promised the people to fix their roads. Lest we forget, in 2002, a former minister of government promised that Jamaica would be pothole-free by 2003. My administration is not merely promising that we will fix your roads. We are today coming to the people of Jamaica with a multifaceted plan to focus resources on improving the state of local roads over the next 10 years of Jamaica's development. This will be one of the largest investments in roads from our capital expenditure that the country has ever seen. The government's multi-billion-dollar road improvement plan to address the country's road transportation network will be executed through two programs, the Special Capital Expenditure Program and the new Shared Prosperity through Accelerated Improvement to our Road Network, SPARK program. And you can thank the Minister of Finance for that acronym. We have commenced the first 6 CAPEX projects targeting urban corridors in Kingston and Portmore. In December 2023, the dualization of Grange Lane, which connects Portmore to Spanish Town, commenced, and drainage and potable water pipeline works are underway. Yes. Madam Speaker, just to be clear, we are doing serious infrastructure work in Portmore. Yes. To ensure that it has proper access and connectivity, because, Madam Speaker, Portmore will become the 15th parish. The remaining 5 projects are East King's House, Lady Musgrave Road, Brayton, Helshaw Road, Arthur Wint Drive, Tom Redcombe Avenue, Camp Road, and, Madam Speaker, a new access to Portmore coming off the Mandela Highway will be built, and the Sandy Gully Bridge widening project are all expected to complete the procurement investment appraisal process during the first and third quarter of fiscal year 2024-2025 and head into procurement immediately thereafter. In the coming fiscal year, we will begin the rollout of the SPARK program, which is an allocation of over $40 billion over 2 years. Of the overall total of $40 billion, $20 billion has been earmarked for secondary, community, and parish council roads in every constituency. $20 billion will be allocated to constituencies as follows. Approximately half will be divided equally per constituency. That is $150 million per constituency. One year. The balance will be allocated to constituencies based on mileage of roads in each constituency, as well as the condition of the roads. The process will require mapping and on-the-ground assessment, as in some cases, Madam Speaker, the data on the roads do not exist. Madam Speaker, even with this massive allocation, we cannot fix all the roads at the same time. Therefore, the people will have an opportunity to express their views as to which roads get fixed first through a fair, transparent, and accountable process. It is imperative that the people, represented by their elected representative, their elected official, play a significant role in the identification and selection of roads. Instead of having people protesting and blocking roads, let's all come together in a democratic process to determine the priority for roads to be repaired. Madam Speaker, I have seen and I've heard that MPs have already started to submit their list of priority roads. I'm hearing that even some parish councils have started to prepare their list. Madam Speaker, let me be clear about the process. There must be divisional, meaning that for every constituency, the divisions must have a consultation, at least one, to have residents come together to look at the list of roads that affect them within their division that they would like to see repaired. So, Madam Speaker, the mandate of the Constituency Development Fund in fostering community empowerment and promoting socio-economic progress by allocating funds through elected MPs has the expertise to manage this consultation process. And Madam Speaker, I know that the process has started and that there are constituencies that are ready and lined up for consultations to begin. Madam Speaker, the Spark program is no small feat. More than 2,000 roads across Jamaica will be rehabilitated and modernized under this program. This is a major operation that will see more than just road improvements in communities. This program will see pavement resurfacing and rehabilitation, intersection improvement and strategic locations, sidewalk rehabilitation in the capitals and towns, retaining wall construction along critical corridors, drainage improvements, water line improvements as needed, and the laying of fiber optic ducts. Additionally, let me note that this government will not be doing what was done in the past, where roads are repaired and then they are disturbed to repair pipes and address water issues. Instead, we will be allocating an additional $5 billion as a contingency in the next budget to address road infrastructure where water and sewage repair are critical to the wider community, and the cost of such repairs would significantly deplete the allocation to the constituency. So there are some areas, Madam Speaker, where when you are going to repair the road, you may have to scarify the road. You may have to put heavy equipment on the road. Inevitably, pipes are going to collapse. There are some roads that you will have to repair because the damage that was done to the road was done by a sewer main that was broken. So if we have to repair those roads, then it makes sense that at the same time, we deal with the water issue and the sewer issue. However, Madam Speaker, we know that if you add water and sewer to it, it will substantially increase the cost of the road. And that is why we're making this additional allocation as a contingency in the next budget. So strategically, what you would want to do, members of parliament, is that those roads that you start the preparatory work on those, because those take much longer preparatory work in terms of engineering designs and all of that, and have those done in the next cycle. But do the other roads that don't require this kind of very extensive investment. So, Madam Speaker, the government will put to international tender. And I want members to monitor, to pay attention to this part carefully. Madam Speaker, the government will put to international tender for enterprise level contractors to undertake the works, which will be divided into 4 packages: north, south, east, and west.
Only way to do it.
The relevant rate-based request for proposal documents have already been completed, and consultations with the Ministry of Finance and the Public Procurement Commission are ongoing to ensure the process, when launched, is seamless. Now, I use the term enterprise level contractors. What do I mean? Enterprise level contractors are expected to have the engineering, project management, and financial wherewithal necessary to execute a project of this size and nature. It should be understood by all that these enterprise level contractors would find it necessary to subcontract or partner with smaller local contractors. So, Madam Speaker, what we are trying to do here is not to take away work from local contractors. What we're trying to do is to bring in and augment the technical, the financial, and the project management skills necessary to undertake this many roadworks all at once. What I hope will happen is that our local contractors will be able to upskill and be able in the future to take on these projects by themselves. And I know we have local contractors who are close to or at that level. So even though we have said, Madam Speaker, it is an international tender, I'm almost sure that some of our local contractors are also going to bid for some of the packages. Now, Madam Speaker, while we work to address decades of neglect on roads, we must at the same time design and implement a proper system of ongoing maintenance of our roads, including routine patching, sealing the roads, cleaning and pushing where necessary. We must never allow our infrastructure to degrade to this level again. I am pleased to announce that the government will be working towards the creation of a centralized national road registry, which will be a census of all existing roads in Jamaica. The registry will contain information on the geographic location and establishment of ownership of these roads, which will inform future maintenance activity. The Spatial Data Management Division of the Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation will be critical in providing geospatial data on local roads to complete this database. This will be supported by on-the-ground site inspections. Madam Speaker, I don't know if you can see there, but the Data Management Division is presently going through each constituency and accurately mapping each road in the constituency. And this is my constituency being displayed. So I have a total of 39.16 kilometers of parochial roads. Which is why we have done it the way in which we have done it. We have done it in a fair way. So there's a base distribution where everybody gets equally, and then the balance is distributed by the relative kilometers of roads that you have. So it's fair. So Madam Speaker, every member of parliament and every councillor will get this data. So you will know what is your length of road. But this central registry is going to be constantly updated. So we're going to make it a digital registry where the public can have access. So you can upload what they call a geotag, for example, a pothole or some other hazard that exists on a road. So we will have a national database that is real time in telling us what is the status of roads. Madam Speaker, the public will be able to go on this central registry and they will see who is responsible for the road. Because sometimes you hear it's Parish Council Road, and then another time you hear it's NWA Road, and back and forth and back and forth. Madam Speaker, under the Spark project, we're going to be spending $40 billion in 2 years. It is clear, however, that for the next decade, there must be an elevated allocation towards road rehabilitation and maintenance if we are to bring our roadways to a reasonable standard of repair. Having now properly audited all our roads, we can now prepare a comprehensive maintenance and repair schedule to realistically inform the budgetary allocation necessary to improve our roads in a reasonable time frame. Madam Speaker, as we seek to upgrade road corridors, we recognize the ongoing need for waste management, debushing, and maintenance throughout the year. Jamaica is a naturally beautiful place. But our country is being uglified by plastic and other forms of waste on our roadways, in our gullies and drains.
Yes.
To this end, we will allocate 2.5 billion Jamaican dollars to clean major gullies and drains and roadways across Jamaica. An important component of this project, however, is that the persons employed to do the cleaning up must collect the plastics for recycling, for which they will receive further payment when it is sold to the recycling entities. I have a dialogue with the recycling partners of Jamaica who have an amazing system of purchasing and recycling plastics. You would have heard how much plastic bottles have been collected since they have started increasing their operations. There are other entities who are purchasing plastics. In fact, the recycling partners have a very good system where they register their collectors and they are not paid in cash. They get a special card and their card is credited. So that's an existing system. So what we are doing, Madam Speaker, is we are incentivizing cleaning and beautification through recycling. What happens, Madam Speaker, and I've seen it before, we pay using the Christmas work, as we call it, the year-end beautification, and they bush the roads and they leave the plastics right there. It is even more disgusting because you are seeing it now right in front of you. So this is not just about bushing. What we want is for them to actually take out the plastics, put them in a proper bale. I believe if you have a 50-kilogram bale of plastics, you can have that purchased from you from one of the recycling companies. So Madam Speaker, it is an innovative way, I believe, of ensuring, Madam Speaker, that we have cleaning and beautification, but at the same time, recycling. So this $2.5 billion, I believe, Madam Speaker, will go a far way in cleaning up Jamaica. Madam Speaker, in 2024-2025, the government will prioritize 3 key bridge projects: the Troy Bridge, which I mentioned before, the Craig Mill Bridge, and the Spring Village Bridge. Madam Speaker, given the pressing threats posed by climate change, disaster mitigation must be prioritized. I am pleased to announce the allocation of $762 million for river training, drain and gully cleaning, and drain improvement initiatives. Madam Speaker, a quick note on the government's KMA fiber optics project. And that, Madam Speaker, has reached a critical milestone with the completion of 31,179 meters of trenching, ducting, and cabling. In February 2024, the project has achieved practical completion with 94% progress. Notably, this effort has linked crucial government entities, including eGov, Jamaica Limited, the National Works Agency, the Ministry of Finance and Public Service, and the Jamaica Urban Transit Company. The project demonstrates Jamaica's commitment to improving connectivity and enhancing the delivery of online public services. Madam Speaker, we are getting things done for all Jamaicans. Madam Speaker, I want to now turn to water. And the water section, I must warn you, Madam Speaker, is extensive, because there's a lot of talk about the water situation. But it's important, Madam Speaker, that the country knows that the government is doing quite a bit for water. But such is the problem. The problem is that the problem has been so long in making, it is so extensive that even when we think we are doing a lot, it is still so much more to be done. Madam Speaker, Jamaica's ambition and commitment to providing all Jamaicans with potable water and sanitation are well articulated in Vision 2030. It is well known that Jamaica has underinvested in its water systems. Much of our water and sewage is either aged beyond its useful life or inadequate to serve communities which have grown beyond design capacity. This would also apply to our national irrigation systems. Your government has been investing at an unprecedented rate in these systems to reverse decades of neglect. I am happy to report that the National Water Commission, which was once considered a fiscal risk, will now, for the second year in a row, declare a surplus at the end of March 2024. Madam Speaker, this surplus should be thought of as growing water investment capacity instead of a profit. The sound fiscal management of the NWC has led to several major capital investments completed over the last 24 months. These projects have improved connectivity and reliability in our water distribution network, resulting in the improvement of service to over 350,000 Jamaicans. For the benefit of those in this honorable House and for those listening, the list of major projects that have been undertaken and completed and benefiting over 179,000 Jamaicans at a cost of $2.6 billion include, in St. Catherine, the Jericho Pipeline at a cost of $75 million, benefiting 3,000 people. Helsha Phase 3 Booster Station at a cost of $50 million, benefiting 2,000 persons. The Greater Portmore Wastewater Treatment Plant at a cost of $200 million, benefiting 100,000 people. The Pear Tree Grove Pipeline and solar panel installation at a cost of $15 million, benefiting 200,000 persons. The Watermount Water Supply Line Replacement at a cost of $25 million, benefiting 1,000 persons. In St. Elizabeth, Hopewell to Fort Charles at a cost of $51 million, benefiting 300 persons. 3,000 persons, forgive me. Old Pepper Bolted Steel Tank at a cost of $50 million, benefiting 3,000 persons. In St. James, the Rhine Park Water Supply System, $230 million, benefiting 6,000 persons. The Tarada Heights storage tank and the Cedar Hill storage tank. In Trelawney, there is a Martabray intake project of 220 million benefiting 100,000 persons. In Hanover, there is a Merlin Otti pipeline, $100 million benefiting 3,000 persons. In Clarendon, we have the Mineral Heights pipeline replacement, the Mitchelltown pipeline replacement, the Yorktown storage tank replacement project, the Portland Cottage Rocky Point and Salt River supply system, the Darlow catchment tank rehabilitation project, which is benefiting 650 persons at a cost of $1.2 million. And the Bunkers Hill system in Northern Clarendon benefiting 1,000 persons at a cost of $10 million. In the KSA, we have completed work on several capital projects, the Port Royal bypass pump installation, as well as the relaying of the distribution main. The Hagley Park Road, Gretna Green water, the Gretna Green Avenue water and sewage improvement project, the Padmore and Sterling Castle Heights pipeline replacement project, the Kencott collector sewers project, the Mona Heights Bougainvillea sewer installation project, and the Bay Farm collector sewer project, Gardenia sewers projects, the Montgomery replacement well. And Madam Speaker, this is a major point to note because this is providing 2 million gallons of water daily to the corporate area and ultimately reduces the geographic area supplied by the Mona Reservoir. So this ultimately reduces dependence on the Mona Reservoir. In Manchester, the Mother Fleur water system benefiting 2,500 residents at a cost of $15 million. The Mile Gully pipeline. Additionally, the Greater Mandeville Water Supply Improvement Project is approximately 60% complete. This is at a cost of $4.5 billion across 3 budget cycles. Last year, in the midst of Jamaica's worst drought, the corporate area undersupplied potable water by just 12 million gallons daily. This is why, Madam Speaker, I'm happy to report to this Honorable House that we have entered the implementation phase and broken ground of the long-touted Rio Cobre water treatment plant in Content, St. Catherine. When completed, in 2 years, this plant will provide 15.5 million gallons daily, supporting distribution in the KSA, Portmore, and Spanish Town. This US $78 million PPP project will move us closer to our 2030 goal. Madam Speaker, this is a major project. We have been talking about this project from 2010. Project developed when our now Deputy Prime Minister was Minister of Water. It has gone through several iterations, several starts and stops. But you know what, Madam Speaker? We get things done. Madam Speaker, we will continue to make major investments in capital works in the coming fiscal year. Over $5 billion is expected to be spent this fiscal year, benefiting more than 165,000 Jamaicans. Additionally, more than $2.5 billion will be invested in sewage infrastructure work. Madam Speaker, outside of this massive portfolio just outlined, let me mention a few other strategic projects. Madam Speaker, the CDD funded projects, which have been long in coming, over 20 years in some cases, this project targets upgrading the water supply system in 5 parishes and has been added to the public sector investment program. This will benefit from a US $30 million loan from the CDB, with the government of Jamaica providing $6 million US. And this will be executed over 4 years. The projects include the Agualta Vale Jordan Run Water Scheme, for Southeast St. Mary, the Mason Hall scheme in Western St. Mary, Albert Town to Ulster Spring scheme in Southern Trelawney, Union Balaclava scheme in Northeastern St. Elizabeth, the Port Morant Erie Castle scheme in Eastern St. Thomas, and the Green Park Higginstown Bamboo scheme in Southeastern and Northwestern St. Anne. This year, the project management unit will be established and commence the project procurement phase at a cost of US 85 million Jamaican dollars. Land acquisition will also be covered this year. Madam Speaker, the growing demand for reliable potable water in the Black River and immediate surrounding communities, compounded by the undersized pump at the source, the age and undersized distribution pipes necessitates upgrading works to the source and distribution network in this area. This project will see the upgrading of the production capacity of the Rock River Spring, the protection and rehabilitation of the on-site facilities, and the improvement of reliable water supply at the Rock River and surrounding communities by installing new distribution pipelines to serve just over 6,000 residents. The estimated cost of the project is $140 million. And I know, Madam Speaker, that the member for North Central Clarendon will be very happy for this project. I've toured it several times with him. The people there have been very patient, and they have, Madam Speaker, I think they have endured quite a bit. No fault of their own environmental issues. There was a well there, but the well was compromised. We have tried to put other solutions which hasn't worked, but I think we have now come up with this, I think, complete solution of $140 million, which will bring water to the people of Rock River in North Central. Madam Speaker, we understand the issue of water security, and we understand it is a big issue, Madam Speaker, particularly in Negril and its environs. The Negril Water Improvement Project will see the construction of a 10 million gallons daily water treatment plant in the Roaring River in Westmoreland at an estimated cost of US $20 million. The overall effectiveness of this intervention must be complemented by improvement activities to those systems adjacent to the focal target area. This will ensure the sustainability of the intervention, as well as, in the medium to long term, adequacy of supply to current and future demands. In light of this, the activities to be undertaken as part of the project are contiguous for an effective and long-lasting intervention. Madam Speaker, energy usage in the water sector is heavy, with the NWC being the largest customer of the JPS in terms of electricity usage. We have had months when the energy bill for the NWC exceeded 1 billion Jamaican dollars. As such, the NWC has embarked on several projects that will reduce energy consumption and ultimately create more fiscal space for capital investment and keep prices to consumers stable. The projects include the development of a 350 kilowatt solar generation facility at the Forest Hills Relief Station in Kingston and St. Andrew. And the construction for this will start in July at a cost of 68 million Jamaican dollars. The development of a 350 kilowatt solar generation facility at the Leaders Avenue Terminal Pumping Station in Montego Bay, St. James, and construction is also expected to start in July at a cost of $68 million. In Fraser's Content in St. Catherine, we will construct a 100 kilowatt solar generation facility at a cost of 55 million Jamaican dollars. The project will commence construction in August of this year. The major energy project for the NWC is a 62 million US dollar PPP for the installation of a 45 megawatt floating solar generation facility at the Mona Reservoir. Having received cabinet approval in November 2022, the pilot phase is now complete. As such, we will enter the implementation phase this year. We will deliver in excess of 1 billion Jamaican dollars in value to the NWC once the project is complete. Madam Speaker, I'm skipping out some of the water projects because they're really a lot. But I want to go to rural water. Madam Speaker, having gone around the country into the rural areas, I have heard the cries loud and clear from persons who complain bitterly about not having water. To be clear, many of these communities are not NWC customers. They, Madam Speaker, are not part of the utility system. They rely on natural sources, springs and rivers, or local supply systems such as catchment tanks and entombments. I want to announce, Madam Speaker, that the rural water supply, that rural water will be investing $409 million into the following projects nationally. They will be doing Riversdale in northeastern St. Catherine for $53 million. They will be doing Spring Gardens in southern St. James, $19 million. They will be doing Maroon Town in southern St. James, $53.2 million. They will be doing Stepney. I hope that is how it is pronounced. Stepney. Stettin. Well, this says southwestern St. Anne, $45.6 million. The Rocky Point unplanned settlement in southeastern Clarendon for $22.8 million. Petersfield in western St. Mary, $11.4 million. Fallen Spring in Brockway in western St. Mary, $7.6 million. Bamboo in eastern Hanover, $30.4 million. Orange Bay Crystal Spring in western Portland, $60.8 million. Cascade section in western Portland, $19 million. None such in eastern Portland, $26 million. Low River Mendes Town in southern Trelawney, $20.37 million. And the purchasing of pipes to assist the NWC in doing all of this, $40 million. So this is all, Madam Speaker, that was programmed. But, Madam Speaker, as I have said, having gone around and seeing the complaints, it's very difficult, when, they're not part of a utility system, that their water source sometimes is non-existent. Sometimes the water source dries up. They have no way of getting water. So, Madam Speaker, what we're going to do is to make an additional allocation of $1 billion to rural water. I know, Madam Speaker, that they have several projects on the books, but not funded. So they have developed projects, but because it's not financed, they have put it in file 13. What we're going to say to rural water now is bring up those projects. We have $1 billion which we're going to reserve under capital. Get those projects in and let's get water to the people. Madam Speaker, I'm thinking of a community called Chestnut in Cessnock in western Hanover, where a lady who is a returning resident tackled me about her water situation and how long she hasn't had water, and it really was touching, Madam Speaker. as the Prime Minister, I am in a position to make allocative decisions that are responsive to the people's needs. And Madam Speaker, one thing is clear, is that we are doing the investments in water. There's no question about that. But when a 70-year-old lady says, Prime Minister, I can't carry water anymore, you have to respond to that. And so, Madam Speaker, we are responding. Madam Speaker, it is not just investment in potable water and sewage. We're making massive investments in irrigation, and I just want to mention, Madam Speaker, what we're doing in Essex Valley. We're spending 1.9 billion Jamaican dollars to complete the installation of irrigation pipes, fittings, and meters to supply and install a renewable energy plant to power the irrigation system and to construct storage and distribution facilities. In addition, as part of the project, our farmers in the Essex Valley will benefit from 27 kilometers of roads which are now currently being rehabilitated. In the Southern Plains Irrigation Scheme in Parnassus in Clarendon and both Amity Hall and Bridgepen in St. Catherine, we are investing over $1.5 billion to provide access to irrigation water on the fallow sugarlands to increase agricultural productivity. And Madam Speaker, last year I announced that after 5 decades of announcement, the Pedro Plains Irrigation Scheme would finally become a reality. We have committed to its designation as a national strategic project. This life-changing initiative will use water from the Black River to irrigate the plains and farmlands in the parish. Thousands of farmers across communities such as Flagaman, Greenfield, Barbary Hall, Southfield, and Top Hill will benefit from the project. Madam Speaker, we have now entered the implementation phase. So this is not just announcements because it's been announced and announced and announced. We have started. Cadastral mapping of the parcels of land to be impacted by the distribution network is underway. A direct result of this work is that over 1,000 titles will be produced this year under the project. Madam Speaker, we are getting things done. Madam Speaker, we have an ambitious long-term plan to provide housing for all our people by looking closely at the various areas of need and ways in which we can provide solutions. Let me remind this Honorable House of the different agencies through which government is working to provide affordable housing solutions to people. The new social housing program under the Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation. I heard some disparaging remarks about the social housing program.
Shame. Shame.
Madam Speaker, the new social housing program replaced a program we inherited from the previous administration. Under that program, each MP was promised a certain number of houses. I believe it was something like 5 houses. 5 houses per year. Some MPs got maybe 2 or 3. But if you check most MPs, they didn't get any. I believe the project would have been under Jeep. My recollection is that was a Jeep project. I may be mistaken. No, it wasn't. There's something that said it was, but I stand to be corrected. So, Madam Speaker, it's a partnership with Food for the Poor, yes, but I believe precisely it was under the Chief Secretary. That's what my recollection. So, Madam Speaker, the program was well intentioned. I make no criticism on that, but like many other programs, it was not properly executed. we took over the program, Madam Speaker, and we recrafted the program. We put in far more robust systems to ensure that the program will be delivered. We started out very slowly because we had to understand the bureaucratic layer of the land in getting it done. But now, Madam Speaker, we are delivering houses, concrete structures, with sewage and water tanks, and we are doing it, Madam Speaker, in, we're building a 3-bedroom in 6 weeks. So we have increased the pace of the delivery. Madam Speaker, almost every week for the past 6 months, I'm delivering 1, 2, 3, 4 houses. So we have reached now just over 200 houses under the new social housing program. There is no other social housing program like this which has had this pace of delivery. And what will happen, Madam Speaker, is that the pace of delivery is going to increase rapidly. So Madam Speaker, the program was developed to improve the housing condition of the country's poorest and most disadvantaged population, and to provide quality housing for them. The implementation modalities are: we have an indigent housing, which is across 63 constituencies. We have a relocation of vulnerable communities as a modality, and we have the upgrade of tenement yards, 1 per constituency, up to a maximum of 30 units in the upgrade. As at March 5th, 2024, 213 housing units benefited, 213 housing units benefiting almost 800 individuals across 55 constituencies have been completed. And currently,